Hey. Everybody can get your seats. We can get your attention, please. Everybody, please. Welcome everybody here tonight to an incredible auspicious night. You're here right now at a place which is the Beit David Highland Lake Shul, where we host something called the Lighthouse Project, which Baruch Hashem has been a program here that we've been disseminating Torah for the last 5.5 years. And it's a big zchut, a very big zchut, that we have an opportunity tonight to do something very special with the Ben Chetri family. First of all, I want to give a round of applause to the Ben Chetri family. Thank you so much for putting this beautiful event together with us in memory of Rabbi Yosef Oziel Zichrono. And to finish off the Siyum of the Daf Yomi that Michael Ben Chetri has been working so hard on for the last 7.5 years. Zaki Baruch. I just want to give 2 minutes so I can give a little background on two things. The Lighthouse Project, which is what we do here, has one mission. The mission is to spread as much Torah as we can, all different styles of Torah, whether it's coming from the Sephardic side, Ashkenazic side, Chabad, Breslov, Yeshivish, it doesn't really matter. The idea is to unify all of Am Yisrael by giving as much Torah as we can to mechazik and help as many Jews to get them closer to Hashem. That's what the Lighthouse is all about, and it's a big privilege that tonight we have the merit to do something very big. The fact that we're doing here a Siyum of the Daf with the Ben Chetri family and in honor of Rabbi Yosef Oziel means a lot to me personally, and I'm going to give a little connection to what Rabbi Yosef Oziel has somewhat to do with the Lighthouse Project. So, before, as I grew up a long time ago, I was not born an observant Jew, but in the year 1998, 1999, my parents decided one year to go to the Sephardic shul in the shul of Bal Harbor. And at that time, my father, who was from Greece and Turkey, had a Sephardic background, and I never really had that instilled with me in my heart, in my prayers, and all that stuff. And I was exposed for the first time in my life to a Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sephardic style. And who was this rabbi of this little room inside the shul of Bal Harbor? It was Rabbi Yosef Oziel. And for me, the impact that those moments, those times, hearing all the music, the songs, the tunes, his beautiful smile, his energy, it totally resonated with me. And to this day, it's something that I think about. And for me, the one iconic thing that I think about the many years that I was there with Rabbi Yosef Oziel is the walks going from the synagogue to the beach to do the tashlich. That to me, and just seeing him and everybody surrounding him, and that to me is my memory of him. And that figure, that energetic figure of his. And so for me, it's a privilege, it's an honor, and may his neshama be here tonight, that I can say that just you never know what you can do, what impact you can do on a person. Just one act, one smile, one Torah, it doesn't really matter. But the fact of the matter is, it's because of that these flames eventually helped us to build what we have here today. And Baruch Hashem, I could say proudly that we're doing a big job here, and B'ezrat Hashem, Mashiach should come immediately. So, that being said, another quick thing I want to say quickly, the Lighthouse Project was started in memory of my late father-in-law, Menachem Mendel ben Elchanan Zivrono Livracha, who built this community. He built the shul that you're sitting in here today. This is his home, this is his baby, and what's important about this in the Daf Yomi and what Michael Ben Shitrit's about to do is that throughout the process, I had a picture, we can't put it up here right now, but we have a picture of 7.5 years ago, me, my father-in-law, and 4 other individuals in the synagogue. We started the Daf Yomi together. And this was a very, for us, an amazing occasion. And he went until almost 4.5, 5 months ago, he went through all the way doing the Daf Yomi, and he struggled with his health, and he pushed hard and he pushed hard. And at the end of the day, although he did not finish it per se, I know that it's a big zchut and a big honor. I know he's here tonight as well. And the fact that we're doing the Siyum tonight, of course, in honor of Rabbi Yosef Oziel, my B'ezrat Hashem should also have a massive aliyah from what's going to be happening tonight, and that Michael should finish this whole Talmud in his memory. That being said, I want to welcome tonight our first speaker. He is the rabbi of the Beit En Ben Safra synagogue, and he is also I would call him my morning cup of coffee. Rabbi Yosef Galamidi, who teaches every single morning, every single day. He teaches classes all day long at Safra for men and for women. But he gives us specifically a class for the Lighthouse that we air every single morning on social media. It's a super popular class and it's changing lives. And I'm so happy and honored, and it's a pleasure to have him here tonight. Put your hands together for Rabbi Yosef Galamidi.
With the permission of all of the great Hachamim, Kol Echad Lefi Ma'alato, each one according to their stature, Kahal Kadosh, Ben Shitrit family, Oziel, Haliwa family, and Michael Ben Melech and the Lighthouse Torah Project. Megalgelim Zechut Al Yedei Zakai. The Gemara tells us that good things happen to good people. When I was approached, and Michael perhaps can give more details behind the scenes, how and where and when to organize the Siyum Hashas Le'ilui Nishmat, my dear friend and colleague, Rabbi Yosef Oziel, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, someone that I had the privilege and the honor of being a good friend. We consider each other good friends in a good relationship. If it's in the topic of kashrut, or if it's in the topic of the Betin in Miami, or the many other community challenges that together with many of the rabbis sitting with us tonight, we had a meeting of the minds of how to expand and how to grow Torah. Not only collectively, but specifically geared to the Sephardic community in South Florida, that Baruch Hashem, in the past few years, has been growing in leaps and bounds for the entire community at large. From Key West all the way to Boca Raton today, almost every neighborhood has Sephardic synagogues. But tonight is not about the Sephardic synagogue. Tonight is about celebrating Torah, celebrating a Siyum Hashas, the Michael Ben Shitrit, religiously. Every time that there was a Siyum Masechet, he will send a text message inviting everyone, I think he sent it to his entire contact list, to come to the home to celebrate the Siyum Masechet. Regretfully, I don't think that I attended any of those, and I apologize in advance, but I was waiting for the grand finale for the Siyum Hashas, and that's why we are here to commemorate today. The Siyum Hashas, which we have been talking about it since the Siyum, that fateful day in January 1st, in which thousands of our brethren worldwide dedicated themselves to Torah learning, to the renewing the Torah through the learning of the Talmud. At the end of the day, Talmud and Mishnah and Gemara, it makes part of our fiber, of who we are. We cannot just learn Chumash. Beautiful, Chumash is important, but without the Torah Shebe'al Peh, without the Mishnah, without the Gemara, the Chumash doesn't have 100% of what is established by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, by the Shekhinah, to what it means to Am Israel, the Siyum Hashas. And Baruch Hashem, even in the Lighthouse Torah Project, there is now a Daf Yomi class. And I'm sure that all of the rabbis here, of all their synagogues, they have Gemarot classes, but especially Daf Yomi. So far, the attendance has been great. We are in Masechet Berachot, a lot of Haggadah, lengthy pages, but not so complicated. We'll wait till Masechet Shabbat comes, and Eruvin, and Shekalim, and then we'll see, as the Pasuk says, Mi v'mi ha'olechim, who's staying in the music, who's staying in the Yam HaTalmud. Rabbi Yosef Oziel, Alav Shalom, if I need to describe him in one word, it's not so easy, but there is something that is always engraved in my heart, and in my mind, and in my brain. And you see the picture. The picture says it all. His contagious smile. The smile that he had, that whenever somebody was saying something interesting or a bit strange in our many rabbis' meetings through the years, he will always answer and will say something with a hiyuch. And this is definitely a great midah to emulate. Why? Because simcha, at the end of the day, happiness is one of the biggest tools that the person can have. And we have Rabbi Yosef, over a dozen rabbis, or 15, and I'm not sure how many is going to speak or how many minutes we were allowed to speak. Nobody told me this yet. How many minutes was it, Michael? Thank you so much. He gave me free range. That is a bit dangerous. That is a bit dangerous, because the paper says 9:30 dancing. So I think that we're going to run a bit behind. But I'm going to have Rahamim on the entire Kahal Kadosh. And I'll try to summarize with a very beautiful pasuk from the book of Shir Hashirim. Shlomo HaMelech, end of the third chapter of Shir Hashirim, says, Se'ena urena b'notzion HaMelech Shlomo ba'atara she'aitera lo imo b'yom hatunato u'b'yom simchat libo. And interesting, if you look in this particular Mishnah that discusses this pasuk from Shlomo HaMelech, tells us that B'yom Hatunato and Simchat Libo are connected to two key moments in the life of Am Israel. Number one is the concept of Matan Torah. Matan Torah, even though Matan Torah happened over 3,300 340 some years ago. But I personally feel that when we arrive to the Siyum Hashas, that Baruch Hashem, many of the people present has been doing already second or third or fourth cycle, what kind of simcha, what kind of happiness we experienced that fateful day. Seeing thousands upon thousands worldwide celebrating one common concept, the happiness of the Torah. I'd like to finish with the following. The Zohar HaKadosh in Perashat Pinchas tells us something very interesting. Every time that there is a simcha in Am Israel, in the families of the Jewish people, Shamayim allows generations of the forefathers of the Baalei Ha'ilula, of the Baalei Simcha, to come down and to celebrate with the Kahal. Although the Zohar refers to moments of celebration, like a wedding, like a bar mitzvah, like a berit milah, or a pidyon haben, but I have no hesitation to say that in Shamayim, this gathering that we have, look Bemporat Yosef, how many men and how many ladies came to the Siyum Hashas. Somebody asked me earlier today, Rabbi, why ladies need to come to a Siyum Hashas? Isn't Siyum Hashas for men only? So I reminded myself what the Gemara writes, Nashim b'may zaka'an. What is the merit, what is the zechut that the wife has that enables the husband to come, that gives the husband that peace of mind for whatever amount of time the husband will sit down to learn, knowing that Baruch Hashem, things at home are being handled properly. So I have no hesitation that in Shamayim they are considering this simcha of tonight, of the Siyum Hashas, like the wedding of Am Israel with Torah learning. So therefore, the neshama of Rabbi Oziel, I am comfortable enough to say it publicly, it's here with us tonight. Because the simcha that is being done, Le'ilun Nishmat, someone, and someone so special as he was, for sure Shamayim grants him a pass to come down tonight, to visit everybody that is here, and to celebrate the Simcha Shel Mitzvah, the Simcha of Torah that we are experiencing tonight. B'siman tov to the Mesayem, and Chazak u'Baruch for everyone that came to give the great kavod of the Torah tonight, Le'ilun Nishmat, our dear Haver, Rabbi Yosef Oziel, Zichrono Livracha. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rabbi. I had it set up in front of me right now, but I've lost it here. But the general gist is, if anybody's learning Daf Yomi, today, which is Daf 33, talks about Yirat Shamayim. And it talks about how important it is, and that's the only thing that we have a choice of in this world. And my next speaker, I'm saying this in a very personal way, in a very hands-on, I see this everyday way. Baruch Hashem, Rabbi Galamini mentioned earlier that we were able to start the Daf Yomi with the Lighthouse Project this year. And Baruch Hashem, we were able to do it next door in the beautiful Netiveh Ezra Synagogue. So thank you very much to Rabbi Abishai Levi for hosting us. And when it was presented with the idea of who was going to be able to teach this class, I was approached by someone who told me about this, Rabbi Moshe Medrash. And I heard a million beautiful things about Rabbi Medrash, and we went full in. And Rabbi Medrash has something that I just love and I enjoy, and I know he's going to turn around and he's going to be very upset at me, but I have to say this. Right? Medrash has ingrained in us a tremendous amount of Yirat Shamayim. When we discussed what times we were going to do it, we said, let's come up with a time that everybody can do it. And at the end, we all sacrificed, and we are learning Baruch Hashem every morning at 5:30 in the morning before Nate's Daf Yomi, which is not an easy thing to do. And when it came to what we're going to do on Saturdays, since he doesn't live in this community, he was the one that said we have to learn on Saturdays together. And what better way of Kedusha that after we finish Shabbat, we should all learn together at nighttime and start the week off with Kedusha. So we learn Saturday nights together at 9:15 at night. Congregants from our neighborhood come out to learn together when there's other things going on in this world. And it's because if Rabbi Medrash is pushing and pushing and pushing us to reach this higher level of Kedusha and this Yirat Shamayim that we learned about today in today's Daf. So with that being said, it's my honor and my pleasure to welcome Rabbi Moshe Medrash.
Ben Shitrit families, Rabbi Yosef Oziel. And Michal mentioned that Rabbi Galmidi is his cup of coffee. I guess that makes me his pillow. It's about an hour or two before the coffee. It begins with Ha'am. Interesting language. It should say B'nai Yisrael, which is much greater. The pasuk continues with Penyinachim Ha'am. Again, the Am. Berotam Milchama V'Shavum Mitzrayim. The next pasuk, Vayaser Elokim et Ha'am. Again, the Am, not B'nai Yisrael. Finally, the next one is Bachanushim Olu B'nai Yisrael Me'eretz Mitzrayim. Finally, the fourth time they're mentioned, it says B'nai Yisrael. Why does it wait to the fourth time? What is the greatness of Bachanushim Olu B'nai Yisrael Me'eretz Mitzrayim? The Kli Yakar writes this week's parasha that until the Klal Yisrael had the Torah, the nation was not different than all of the other nations. Not only that, they didn't have arms. They weren't strong like other nations, and they didn't have holiness more than the other nations. So what separated them from the other nations? Says the Kli Yakar, nothing. That's why when Paro sent them out, they were the Am. Until the Chamushim, until they became armed. Chazal say they became armed with Chamesh Klei Zayim, Mizuyanim. They became armed with 5 weapons. What is the significance of 5 weapons? Asked the Kli Yakar. Do we care about how many weapons? Furthermore, do we care about weapons at all? That they had 5 guns on them? Thirdly, they don't know how to use weapons. They were slaves for 210 years. Fourth, is that the koach of Klal Yisrael? To use weapons? The koach of Klal Yisrael is the koach of Kol Yaakov. Esav uses the weapons. Says the Kli Yakar, no. They went up v'chamushim. You know what the weapons of Klal Yisrael was? Chamisha chumshei Torah. Mizduyanim. What's Mizduyanim? Klei Zayan means Zayin. 7. 7 is Sheva Bayom Milaticha. It's a Gemara. Tosfot brings it down in Masechet Brachot. It's Tfilah. They went with Tfilah by Kriyat Yamsuf, and they went with Torah. And they came to Kriyat Yamsuf with Emunah. They needed the Emunah before they get the Torah. They couldn't receive the Torah until they had Vayaminu B'Hashem of Moshe Avdo. And then Hashem said, it's still not enough. You have to go down to the Midbar and eat the man. Lo nitna Torah el lo oichle haman. The Torah wasn't given only to those who eat man and gain Emunah. And then you become a Klal Yisrael. Says the Kli Yakar. But once you accept upon yourself this emunah, this duyanim, this kleis dayan, and this vachamushim, you make the Kabbalah. You make the Kabbalah for Daf Yomi already. Then you're already B'nai Yisrael. The Chamushim alu B'nai Yisrael. They're already like they received the Torah. The Ben Shitrit family is demonstrating tonight. This great Simcha demonstrates this Kabbalah Torah, which is not just the Kabbalah from Ben Shitrit, but the entire family and all those who are Messiah have demonstrated for 7.5 years. The wives, the children, the patience, the emunah. What is this? Every day you give them an hour? You can't take off a day. A week or something, even on vacation, another hour. Yesh kodesh olamai b'shor achas. Like Rebbe says, 1 hour a day, you're koneh olamai. That is emunah. Someone who does something every day without fail is demonstrating that he believes that the Torah is emet. Rosh Dvacha emet. Rabbi Yashiv used to say, what is the beginning of the Torah? Bereshit is the beginning of the Torah, but the first mitzvah is the first Naseret that he wrote is Anochi Hashem Elokecha. Aleph. The first word in Mishnayot, Torah Shlapeh, Me'ei Matai. And the first word of Gemara is Tana Ahecha Koi. That's Rosh Dvacha emet. This family and all of us here, all those Mikablim and Messiahim and Loimdei Daf Yomi, demonstrate day in and day out, Roish Dvorcha Emes, that the Torah, the first words of your Torah are Emes, and you'll never let go. That is the midah of Bnei Yisrael, not the midah of the Chazal tell us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu lifted up the mountain, Har Ki Gigit, and he said, "In Mikavim Atemes HaTorah Mutav, you love Shom Tei Kurasi." What is the Gigis today for a Balabayit today that doesn't spend his whole day in yeshiva? Where does he see that pressure? People tell him he's working and it's a great mitzvah, and they're right. You're supporting Torah, they're right. You need to support your family. You need to work, it's a mitzvah, they're right. So many people feel, I have an excuse. Torah can take a back seat. I first have to live, I have to make a part myself. But then there are those Balabatim, and those are all of us here. Even if we haven't been there, we can become one now. They say, no, I feel the pressure. There's a Har Kigigis. There's a mountain above me. What is that mountain? The Daf Yomi. Wherever I go, I never can take a day off. If I take a day off, the train keeps moving. I have no days off. I feel the Kabbalat Ol Malchut Shamayim. The greatest part of Daf Yomi is the Yomi. I once heard this from Matisol Salman. And that's why we made a shiur on Motzei Shabbat specifically. Because how deep do you go in Daf Yomi? Not in such depth. How much do you retain? Depends how much you do Chazarah. It's very hard for people to do Chazarah. But one great ma'ala you have over anything is the Yomi. Day in, day out, that pressure keeps you up. That Sha'ah Achat, you call that Olamah. I'd like to bless Mivarech, everyone here, Rav Ben Shitrit and his family, with bracha. The Orach Chaim, the Sefer Ma'or HaChaim, there's another Sefer from the Orach Chaim, on the Pasuk, Tzvartum Lachem Yimachlat HaShabbat. Yom HaVi'ach Omer brings a fascinating story. Someone once walked out of the Brit Milah, and he met the Yetzer Hara, the Satan, the Malach HaMalach. And he saw the Yetzer Hara was dancing. He was so very happy dancing. He went over and said, "Why are you so happy?" He said, "Did you hear the father of the child by the Brit Milah?" He said, "Yeah, sure, I saw him. He's so happy." he has a bottle of wine, and he's planning to use the bottle of wine for the chatunah of this child. He told everyone, this bottle of wine is Rat Hashem by the chatunah. So he said, so why are you so happy about that? He said, because his time is very soon. And I found it very amusing that he thinks he's going to use that bottle of wine. His time is coming, I'm going to take him soon. So he said, since you're revealing all these secrets to me, maybe you want to tell him, let me show me your pinkas. Show me the ledger that shows who's on your schedule. I want to know when it's my time. So he said, you're not on my list. He said, not on your list? For how long? He said, for plenty of time. My schedule, my calendar here, doesn't have you on it at all. And the foreseen future. He said, why is that? He says, because you have the midah of Yirat Hashem Tosif Yamim. Someone who fears Hashem will add days to his life. Who fear Hashem, you have nothing to worry about. Says the Orach Chaim, how do we begin counting throughout the Omer? The bracha is, according to many shittot, is only not a bracha levatala if you do all 49 days. Do you know if you're going to live all 49 days? How does a person know? There's a safek, there's actually a machloket in Sukkah, the meir chayish l'mitah, and the lo chayish l'mitah. Maybe you have to suspect that you might not make it, and it's a safek bracha levatala, which is, according to many Rishonim, is a bracha levatala, is to the right. So maybe you shouldn't count. Says the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, if a person accepts upon himself the mitzvah, that takes Yirat Shamayim. He takes the mitzvah with simcha, that's Yirat Shamayim. Yirat Hashem, Tosif Yamim. He'll make it out. So I once heard from Rav Zilberstein, he says, if a person is mekabel on himself, like Rav Ben Shitrit, like all the other Messiahim, to mekabel, that he wants to the next 70 and a half years, 2,711 hours, 2,711 days of this great mitzvah, the greatest mitzvah, that's the greatest segula, the Bezrat Hashem, he will make it through, and he will live with Tosif Yamim, with bracha, shefa, tzlacha, he'll see his children grow to become great Talmidei Chachamim. And we should all be zochet to finish the next Machzor in Nevi Yameinu Yerushalayim. Yeah, Kodesh B'Nevi Yameinu.
Thank you, Rabbi. I just want to put in a plug. Two things. I want to make sure this is emphasized. Daf Yomi will change your life. Anybody who's here that's actually in the learning world, wants to learn Torah, Daf Yomi will change your life. I can't emphasize this enough. You feel like a different person, your day is different, and you feel really connected to Hashem on a very high level. And for all those people that are maybe still sitting on the fence, maybe thinking about it, I highly, highly recommend you do it. There's a tremendous amount of shuls all around South Florida that have classes going on. This time around, as compared to what it was 7.5 years ago, I don't remember it being like this. Sabra has tons of classes happening. Netivei Ezra has classes in Hebrew. Obviously, we have our early in the morning, if you can wake up at 5:30 in the morning to come to the English class. I was just talking before, Rabbi Lamala, he teaches it twice a day. It's an incredible thing, and I just want to throw that in there. Which leads me to our next speaker. He is the rabbi of Temple Moses, and he is a Highland Lakes product. He is my Turkish companion who makes sure that the Turkish Sephardic movement is still staying strong today. If I can speak Turkish, I would say something, but I can't. Ladies and gentlemen, Rabbi Tanya Fadar.
I'm on the clock already, so we can keep it under the State of the Union address. So I'm going to try to keep it short, but important. So many incredible Rabbanim here, Chachamim, and special guests, and the family, Zach Baruch. Bishvat Rabbi Yosef and Estrella, I'm going to share Mishnah. We have 2 Bishvat coming up. It says in Mishnah, Pirkei Avot, Hu haya omer, Kol shechokmato merubah mima'asav. Anybody whose wisdom is more than his deeds. Lama hu domeh, what does he compare to? Ilan shampav merubim v'sharashav mu'atim. Somebody whose branches are many and his roots are few. V'aruach ba v'krato, and a wind will come and push down the stream. The Mishnah continues later. But anybody whose ma'asim, his deeds, are greater than his chokmah, what is he compared to? He's compared to a branch, to a tree that has smaller leaves and much deeper roots. Even all of the winds of the world, even if all the winds of the world come and try to push him down, you can't do it because the roots are so deep. On its face, this Mishnah tells you something that we know, that scholarship without deeds, without doing anything with it, is not as great as doing something with it. But the Chachamim say, look a little bit deeper. There's so much depth here. But 1 point deeper. It says that if your roots are greater, which means that your deeds, the comparison for the trees, the roots are the deeds, and the branches the wisdom. But that's strength, says the Chachamim. Because the roots mean that which nourishes, which leads to the leaves. Isn't that the wisdom? The Mishnah should compare the roots to the wisdom and the leaves to the deeds, because that's the natural tendency. Why does it compare it in the opposite, what seems opposite? So the Chachamim explain and say the following. You see, wisdom that's just theoretical, that you're just going on about itself without putting that into play, that is only mekayem. You see, that's not the roots. It's true deeds. Action is what indeed supports and sustains wisdom. Because sometimes we just take so much theoretical and we don't bring it to this world. Then we just use the theoretical to go ahead and explain things we want to do. So in fact, what sustains the wisdom is the actions. Those are the roots, because then it's real. My friends, Rabbi Yossi ben Esra Zecher Tzadik Levrachah was a tremendous Talmid Chacham. Tremendous. But he took his wisdom and he did. He built a kehilah. He built a kollel. He was involved with community endeavors in so many different ways. And it says the Mishnah, when you do that, you have roots that nothing can push down. His legacy endures because those roots that he built have leaves, and those leaves have fruit. And the fruit is a kehilah that's growing today. He was at the forefront with these great Rabbanim in building the Sephardic community, in building Torah when there wasn't a Sephardic Torah base. He even took himself in every opportunity. You know, we had a soccer league. And as my cousin mentioned, that one of the things that was beautiful was his smile when he brought the Simchat HaChaim. I remember he said, he told me, if we're bringing the kids together or have a community, I'm going to show up. And he showed up to the soccer league with the kids. And he made an effort to be there, and we played soccer, but that's for another day. But anyway, every opportunity, he built these tremendous roots, and nothing is going to blow them down. That is a zechut, that is a castle with perot that are going to continue to endure. To see tonight, everybody here, and as my cousin mentioned as well, that the zechut goes to those that are zakai. You know, you are right. I was here when the Highland Lake Shul was not a shul. We used to pray. We had 10 people with the Gorans and the Gerlins and my cousins. Here in the Highland Lakes, used to come every Pesach, and we used to get together in the living room. And today, from that start, you built. From where Rabbi Oziel started continued to build today. He has a tremendous kila over there. It's continued by tremendous Talmid Chacham. What you have done as his Talmid is taken his inspiration and said, I was inspired by Torah, and you built on top of that. It is such a zechut for him. Where the Gemara says, the Gemara Bachot says, that Tzadikim b'mitatan bring Chaim, that they are called alive. He is alive through your Torah, through what everybody is doing here, and he should continue, with Hashem, to have that zechut, and all that you do for him should be tremendous zechut for him, for his family, for the whole Kila. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi. The next speaker, originally from Yerushalayim. He's part of the French classes program at Netiv Ezra. He also gives classes as well in Safra. And he's with us tonight to give a special message on behalf of the Oziel family. Please welcome Rabbi Eliyahu Haliba.
Small message maybe that can penetrate the hearts of everybody that's here. It's difficult for me say impossible to speak about a person I never knew. But the truth is, when I came to the family, I saw the children, I saw the family, I saw the house full of Sfarim, I guess, and what I heard about Rabbi Oziel, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, that this was and is a tremendous family. Actually, when I was proposed to marry my dear wife, I said, in French you say, derrière un grand homme est une grande dame. Behind a great man is always a great woman. So I had nothing else to look about. So that's what made me take the decision that if she was, and she had the zechut of being the wife of this tremendous Talmid Chacham, then it only was a zechut for me. The Pasuk says in this week's parasha, Vayhi b'shalach paro et ha'am. The Mefarshim ask, this is a great day. Bnei Israel are leaving Mitzrayim. They've been waiting for this for many years. Kadosh Baruch Hu promised Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, that Acharichein yitzeu b'chush gadol. So how come the Pasuk says Vayhi? Vayhi, the Gemara says, it was Lashon shel Tza'ar, shel bin v'haya, which is Lashon shel Simcha. So Rabotai, the many Mefarshim ask this question. The most obvious question says the Gemara, since the Pasuk says, Yimpol oyevecha al tismach, even though your enemies, but when your enemies are defeated, you shouldn't be happy. Because at the end of the day, they are all creatures of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We got here together to celebrate the Siyum Hashas of our dear friend, Matthew Ben Shetrit. But we also got together to remember this great Talmid Chacham, Rabbi Yosef Oziel. So how does it work? On one hand, we should be b'simcha. It's a great day of being Siyum Hashas, 7 years of hard work. And on the second hand, we're kind of a commemoration, the day of Zikaron, that we remember this Talmid Chacham, how does this go together? How can we compensate both of them together? Rabotai, after going what I've gone through, I can only say one thing. I can say and thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Asher Am Shekacha Lo, Asher Am She'Adonai Elohav. If it weren't for the Torah, our Chachamim tell us, Lulei Toratecha Sha'ashuai, Az Avadti Be'oni. Who is greater than David HaMelech Alav Shalom, who was the king of Am Yisrael? He had all the pleasures you can imagine in the world. On the other hand, he went through many sufferings, like the Tanakh teaches us. David HaMelech Alav Shalom tells us, Lulei Toratecha Sha'ashuai, Az Avadti Be'oni. We are in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us tremendous present, which is the Torah. The Torah was given only to us, only to Am Yisrael, and that's obviously why Am Yisrael suffers till today, because of the kin'ah, the jealousy of the nations have against us, because we are the chosen nation. On the other hand, being the chosen nation demands from us also a commitment. When we have this simcha of Siyum Hashas, who can say that it's not for me? Obviously, people have different occupations, work, whatever. But now you have the Daf Yomi for every single person, every single language, whenever you want, whatever you want, any time of the day, 24/7. Not 7, yeah, 7, we'll say Shabbat, we'll say. So there's no reason for us not to take this upon ourselves. And like I said before, the Torah mesameach levav hakodesh. If it weren't for the Torah, I can tell you through my personal experience, tzarinu harav, if it weren't for the Torah, I don't know where I would have been today. If it weren't for the Torah, I don't know where my kids would be today. It's thanks to the emunah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought us here. I have no idea. Still today, I'm still asking the question. But if this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, if this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is asking from us, is demanding from us, then we have to do it. The Torah brings happiness to the family. The Torah unites the family. We are all the chosen nation, and each one of us is a son of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a chosen son. So everybody, Bezat Hashem, in this event should take upon himself. If he can't do a Daf Yomi, he should also exist the Amud Yomi. Why not? It gathers all Am Yisrael together. Although we are feasting the Daf Yomi, but it's thanks to Rabbi Yosef Oziel, I understand that Michael Ben Shetrit, our dear friend, started off this Gemarot, and that's why he dedicated this Siyum Hashas, Le'ilui Nishmato. How much would have Oziel have been wanted to be here to assist together with us to this Simcha? But like we said, his neshama is here. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has his ways, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has his ideas. We've got no idea. Anyway, all of us, we should know one thing. We do not know what the future is hiding from us. Nobody knows when it will be his last day. I'm talking from the bottom of my heart. Many people have many projects in their life. They say, next week, next year, in 10 years, 20 years, nobody knows if that day is going to come. And those who wants from us effort today, not yesterday and not tomorrow. Every single day is an effort that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is demanding from us. That's maybe the musar that I'm taking upon myself, and I'm sharing with you, my dear friends, that when we assist in these kinds of events, at the same time we're remembering the memoir of a big tzaddik, like we mentioned all the zechuyot, a person must be ייתן והלב ואדם ייתן על ליבו, והחי ייתן על ליבו. The person should think that tomorrow is not sure. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. We're living in a world with tremendous pains, with tremendous sorrows. We've got no idea what the future is heading for us. The only way, and I'm saying only with a big O, the only way we can be saved, Bezat Hashem, is through the zechut of Limud Torah. And here I'm coming to tell our dear wives, the zechut that you have into giving your husband, and even, sorry for the word, forcing your husband to go and learn 1 hour of Torah. because that's your zechut. Nashim b'ma'izrachiyan, the Gemara says, this is not talking about Gan Eden. This is talking Olam Haba. Gan Eden everybody has, even the women have a Gan Eden. But the Haya Olam Haba, which is forever, Nashim b'ma'izrachiyan only, and I say only through the zechut of Limud Torah. The zechut, the Gemara says that they send the children, they send the husbands to learn Torah. So this is an acceptance that all the women here take upon themselves to, even if it's difficult, with many children, with many endeavors to do in the house, send your husband, send your children to Torah, you're doing a favor for yourself. And there's Be'emet, I thank my dear wife that B'zchuta, she elevated such a beautiful family, and she elevated my kids also, B'ezrat Hashem, and she also gives me this time to learn Torah. That's a zechut. That's a zechut. While we are sitting here to commemorate the zechut of Rabbi Yosef Oziel. I would like to say one little thing. While I was driving today in the car, sometimes it happens, you're daydreaming while you're driving, and I was just thinking, the gematria of Shovavim, we are now in the weeks of Shovavim, the weeks of Ta'aniyot, the weeks of Teshuvah. The gematria of Shovavim is exactly the gematria of Shas, 360. So it's a big zechut. May the merit of this Siyum Hashas be a big kaparat avonot for Am Yisrael, and B'ezrat Hashem we will have the zechut of being together with Melech Mashiach in Yerushalayim Yom HaKodesh. I thank you, the tzibur, for coming. I thank everybody who participated in this event. I thank Mr. Ben Shitrit for giving me this opportunity to speak. And B'ezrat Hashem, everybody should have all Shabbat B'chem Tova and
Thank you, Rabbi. Beautiful. Following in his father's footsteps, this young man is currently studying in yeshiva in Lakewood, New Jersey, with a special message, Lil Nishma, his father. Everybody, give a big round of applause for Moti Oziel. Future Rabbi Oziel. I stand corrected.
Dear family and friends, this is a special moment for all of us celebrating the Siyum Hashas dedicated in the memory of my dear father, Rabbi Yosef Oziel. I would like to share with you a small of the Torah. The pasuk in this week's parasha says, "Vayikach Moshe et atzmot Yosef." Moshe took the bones of Yosef. The Midrash tells us that while all the Jewish people were busy taking the gold and silver from the Egyptians, Moshe Rabbeinu was busy doing the mitzvah of taking Yosef's bones with him. And on this pasuk in Mishleh, it says, "Chacham lev yikach mitzvot." A wise-hearted person takes mitzvot. The Sefer of Perlion asks, why was this pasuk only said to praise Moshe? Weren't all the Jewish people busy doing the mitzvah of taking the booty from the Egyptians? Also, what is the meaning of the pasuk, a wise-hearted person? Wouldn't a more appropriate title for the situation be one who fears Hashem, chooses to do mitzvot? The Duvya Magid brings down the following famous question. The pasuk says in last week's parasha that Hashem told Moshe to please speak in the ear of the nation and tell them to ask the Egyptians for their belongings. Rashi explained that the word "na" means that Hashem was requesting that Moshe make sure that the Jewish people take all the booty, so that Tzaddik Avraham Avinu won't have a claim against Hashem, fulfilling the 400 years of slavery, or the promise that they will go out with a lot of wealth, he didn't fulfill. Therefore, make sure that they take all the booty. Asked the Duvimag, does it make sense that the reason why Hashem made sure that they took the gold and silver is just so that Avram won't have any claim? Doesn't Hashem fulfill his promises regardless? It said, and to this, the Duvimag said a parable. There was once a young boy who came from a poor family and decided to write himself out to earn a few dollars. When it came time to pay, his boss handed him a few rubbed out coins. To this, the child replied, I worked hard, I want money. I don't want rubbed out coin. The boss insisted, this is money and can be used anywhere. Don't pay attention to the pictures on it. However, the boy started crying and didn't accept his boss's money. Eventually, his father came down to assist him. The boss explained to the boy's father that their coins are 100% valid. The father replied with words of wisdom. You are correct. These coins are valid without any doubt. But that would suffice if you were paying me. Since I understand its value, my son, however, doesn't perceive this as valid currency. And since you're paying him, you must pay him in a form that he appreciates. The same is true in regard to Hashem's promise that Israel will leave Egypt with great wealth. Hashem was not referring to physical wealth of gold and silver. Rather, Hashem's intentions were regarding true spiritual wealth, the Torah and mitzvot, which they will receive on Har Sinai. However, Bnei Israel, according to their level at the time, being intensely enslaved with the hard work of Mitzrayim, didn't reach the level of perceiving it to mean spiritual wealth. Rather, they understood the promise to literally mean gold and silver. This is what Hashem meant when he told Moshe to make sure that people take all the booty in order that Avraham Avinu won't have a claim. Of course, Avraham Avinu understood the truth of Hashem's promise, referring to Torah and mitzvot. But just as a parable, Avraham would have told Hashem that the promise has to be filled at the level of understanding of the receiver, which is Klal Yisrael. And at the time, they wouldn't have accepted the Torah and mitzvot as a fulfillment of Hashem's promise. According to this, the Midrash we mentioned earlier is beautifully understood. The reason why the Midrash was a pasuk of Chacham le'ikach mitzvot instead of Yireh Shamayim, those who fear Hashem, is because the great wisdom of Moshe, which comprehended that the great wealth that Hashem promised Avram was not gold and silver, rather Torah and mitzvot. Only a wise person can understand that. Therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu went on his own to carry the bones of Yosef. But Klal Yisrael mistakenly thought that Hashem meant physical wealth, and therefore spent their time collecting the gold and silver. My father, Alav Shalom, was known throughout our community not only to run after Torah and mitzvot for himself, but he cared that everyone else around him appreciated the Torah and mitzvot as well. The simcha and Avodat Hashem that he had radiated amongst all that knew him and had a tremendous impact on everyone. Tonight is the biggest testimony to that. Mr. Michael Benjamin, who shared a unique bond with my father, was greatly inspired from his greatness to the extent that he accepted on himself 7.5 years ago to complete Shas. As the world continues to run after gold and silver, Michael followed in my father's footsteps and is truly Chacham le'ikach mitzvot, a wise hearted person who takes his oath. May the Siyum be a tremendous friend for the Benjamin family, along with our family, and may it serve as a new neshama for our father and Rabbi in Gan Eden. Amen.
We're going to change things up a little bit, and we are now going to have our keynote speaker to give everyone a chance to get dessert soon. I don't have any words that can express my gratitude for having our keynote speaker here with us. I grew up in Toronto, as many of you know, and I grew up in the oldest Sephardic congregation, probably in Canada, the Petah Tikva Synagogue. In 1997, Rabbi Yosef Oziel, cousin of Alav Shalom Rabbi Oziel, moved to Toronto from Montreal with his family and accepted the position of the rabbi of the Petah Tikva congregation. Rabbi Oziel, like his ancestors and like the name Oziel as we heard tonight, has elevated the level of Torah in Toronto, in Canada, beyond our expectations. I've been talking to him for years about this event. Baruch Hashem, we've come to this event, and he said, I will do what I have to be there, I will rearrange my schedule, and we did what we had to. He was born in Rabat, Morocco, and moved with his family to Canada in 1976 to Montreal. He had the zchut of attending the Yeshiva Gedolah of Montreal, both for high school and for his post-secondary Bet Midrash education. He received the smicha from Rav Shlomo Altuski Shlita and Bet HaMidrash Leorah. After receiving the smicha, he held a part-time position as rabbi at Centre Communautaire Juif in Montreal before moving to Toronto. He has become an active member of the Rabbinical Vada Kashrut of the COR and of the Vada Chinuch of Eitz Chaim schools, which is where I went to school. So we have a lot of kesher. He has two beautiful sons, and we are truly honored to have him here today tonight as our keynote speaker, a good friend, a tremendous Talmid Chacham, Rabbi Yosef Oziel. Let's give it a
הרבנים החשובים, שליטה, ברשות בעל הסעודה, מסיים הש"ס, ידידי מייקל בן שטרית, your dear wife Sherry, your dear children, ברשות my dear cousin Michal, and her dear children, her husband Rabbi Eliyahu Shalita, and your dear children, ברשות כל הקהל הקדוש הזה, כל אחד כפי כבודו ומעלתו. It's a very emotional night for me to be here, to relive things. And it's true that time does heal, but the memories on a night like this one come rushing back. I want you to know that a ma'amad like this one, of Kiddush Shem Shamayim, of Kavod HaTorah, is without a doubt a Eid Ratzon Gadol for us to take advantage of these few hours to beseech the Almighty for our needs and for those of Kelat Yisrael. And so before we begin, I would like to therefore take the opportunity to raise our eyes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in heartfelt prayer that He bestow upon us Arichut Yamim, Bariut, Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf, Shalom Bayit, Banim Ubnei Banim Oskim BaTorah, Parnasa Tova, and most of all, may we be zocheh very, very soon to witness the ultimate redemption in Rabbi Yamenu. The Gemara tells us in Masechet Shabbat that before passing, the great scholar Rav instructed his student Achem behespeda dehatam ka'ina. He told his student that when you will eulogize me, be sure to warm people's hearts, to stimulate their feelings, to move them to tears, because I will be present during the eulogy. The Etz Yosef offers a profound insight into what those words mean. Hatam ka'ina means, because there I stand. And what he meant is, kol zman, as long as a person is alive, he is a mehalech. You can move, you are mobile, you can go from one level to a higher level. But once a person's life is over, hatam ka'ina, I can only stand in one place. I become immobile. Therefore, said Rav, be sure to eulogize me and to make people think about who I was, because in so doing, you will allow me to have zichuyot, to have merits in the heavens, where we are all omedim, and to be able to have an aliyah to move, as it were. Michael, you cannot begin to imagine, we cannot begin to imagine what kind of halicha you have given to my dear cousin, Rabbi Yosef Oziel. Such an opportunity to move with you, one daf at a time, one page at a time, every single day, for 7.5 years since you undertook this colossal, massive project. Indeed, you have fulfilled the words of the Nabi, "V'natati lecha mahlechim ben ha'omedim ha'ele." You have given passage and movement ben ha'omedim ha'ele, among those who stand still. Indeed, you have given him passage, and there's no question that his aliyah Gan Eden, with each passing day, we cannot begin to imagine how great it is. But it is not just you. You and I last night, we spoke about the Gemara. The Amar Abaye Tetili, the Gemara tells us in Masechet Shabbat, Abaye said, I will be rewarded. Dechi Hazina Surba Merabanan, because any time I saw a Talmid Chacham, the Shani Masichta, who completes a Masechet, a tractate, Abidna Yom Hatava LeRabbanan, I would organize a great celebration to Rabbanan. Someone once invited the great Tzaddik, Gaon, Rav Moshe Feinstein, Zecher Tzaddik Libracha, to a Siyum of a Masechet. And he writes in one of his Teshuvot that he apologizes that he cannot attend. And then he elaborates on this Gemara a little bit. And he says that it is not only a celebration, as Abaye points out, for that Chacham who concluded, Abimnat Yom HaTava LeRabbanan, he made a Yom Tov for everybody. We are all part of the Simcha, because we are all part of Michael's life. Every person in the Messiah's life is instrumental in making that happen. Your wife encouraged you and allowed you to spend the time that you needed. Your children cheered you on. The community looked forward to tonight. We are all here, and in a way, we are all part of the Simcha. So the Simcha is not only just your Simcha, it is your wife's Simcha, your children's Simcha, and all of our Simcha. I want to share something with you that I heard straight from the person who heard it. There was a great man that people largely don't really know about, except for maybe a few of my friends here from Toronto. There was a great man in Tangier by the name of Rabbi Samuel Toledano. Yes? This man had a great history. He was a person who studied. In his young age, I think he was an accountant, I think he even had a bar, an architect. But later on in his life, he got into the studies. He had a brilliant mind, apparently. And even though he started studying Torah late, but he became a phenomenal Talmid Chacham and Mikubal. And he wrote Sifrei Kabbalah, he wrote Sefarim on Kabbalah. I heard the following thing from his son. Now, you wouldn't believe me if I hadn't told you that I heard this directly from his son, because you can't make this up. His son was visiting Toronto a number of years ago, and he said that before Rabbi Samuel passed away, he told his son the following. Listen. He said, David, if you don't say Kaddish for me after I die, I forgive you. But if you don't learn Torah after I die, I will never forgive you. This is what he said. I was shaken, as probably some of you are, by hearing such words. I was shaken. A person who understands, as important as the Kaddish is, but what you did, in the eyes of those who understand what everything is worth, is far, far greater. It's a Kaddish of Kaddishim. I would be remiss at this moment if I didn't mention my dear uncle, Mordechai, Abba Shalom, father of my dear cousin who passed away just a few months ago. This is not a hesped. This is a moment of celebration, as we heard. But you cannot think of Rabbi Yosef without thinking about his father. And you cannot think about his father without thinking about his son. They were inseparable, understandably, but much more so than most fathers and sons. I was thinking that perhaps the pasuk that David HaMelech pronounced in his eulogy for Shaul HaMelech and his son Yehonatan, where he said, "Hame'ehamim ve'hane'imin b'chayehem u'b'motam lo nifradu." The beloved, the endeared ones, during their lifetimes, b'motam lo nifradu, even in their death, they are not separated. And so, hatam ka'enna, if Rabbi Yosef is present and his father is present too, because if he had a hand in your accomplishment, his father had a hand in him, so by extension he has a hand in your accomplishment. One of the Rishonim, the Meiri, writes in his Hakdama, his introduction to Shas, he says the following: a thinking human being cannot go through life, cannot go through the different moments of life, the good or the bad, and remain unfazed, indifferent. He compares that to a hamor. A donkey just goes about his life not thinking much. We are thinking human beings. We cannot emerge from a Yom Tov, for example, unchanged the way we were before the Yom Tov. It can't be. Something changed. I'm enriched somehow forever and ever. We were all changed the moment Rabbi Yosef left us. But you undertook something phenomenal, something colossal. This is more than unchanged. Huge! To finish Shas, in his memory, you started it. Many people start Shas, we know that. But you finished it. So now, we have to look at an event like this, and we also have to walk away from an event like this somewhat changed, somewhat inspired in some way. Some of us are part of Daf Yomi She'orim. Some of us study on a regular basis. Some of us started studying when we were younger, when the mind was sharper. And therefore, we have the distinct privilege of delighting and enjoying whether it's the Gemara, whether it's the Halacha, whether it's the Chumash. To those people, I would like to share the following insight. Rav Aharon Kotler, the great Rosh Yeshiva of Bet Midrash Gavoa in Lakewood, offers the following insight. He asks a question. Why is it that HaKadosh Baruch Hu established Zecher L'Siat Mitzrayim? Every mitzvah, Kim'at, or every mitzvah, Zecher L'Siat Mitzrayim, a remembrance for Yesiat Mitzrayim. And yet, Matan Torah, which is so important, there's no Zecher L'Matan Toratenu. Our mitzvot are not Zecher L'Matan Toratenu. Now we understand why everything needs to be Zecher L'Siat Mitzrayim. There's a famous Ramban at the end of last week's Parashah that tells us that Yesiat Mitzrayim is the testimony to Emunah B'Hashem. And in order for us to transmit that Emunah, we have mitzvot that remind us of Yesiat Mitzrayim. Very important. Matan Torah. What could be more important than Matan Torah? The day that heaven and earth kissed. The day that we heard Hashem speak to us. The day that we were transformed for all eternity. The day that we became Am HaTorah, a nation of eternity, a nation of Kedusha, a nation of Emunah. Why isn't there any Zecher L'Matan Toratim? Rav Aaron says something unbelievable. He says, because we don't need it. A person who opens up a Gemara and who delves into the words of the Gemara, he experiences the same Orot HaTorah, the same light, the same experience as was experienced at Matan Torah. It's the same thing. There's a famous Onkelos, Kol Gadol Velo Yasaf. In Parashat Vayetchanan, Moshe Rabbeinu says to us that the voice that came from HaKadosh Baruch Hu at Matan Torah was Kol Gadol, a great voice, Velo Yasaf. What's Velo Yasaf? Says the Onkelos, Vela Pesak. It never stopped. The voice continues from one generation to another. And so therefore, when a person opens up a Gemara, a person studies the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, a person studies Halacha in depth, his eyes are brightened, he experiences a little bit of Matan Torah. You don't need the Zecher. It's alive and well. For those of us who are not yet initiated in the study of Torah, who haven't yet seen that, they will soon, but who haven't yet seen it. It's challenging. It's not easy to be committed to a shiur where I don't always understand, and if I do understand, I forget. Listen to the following Gemara. The Gemara is in Avodah Zarah. Says the Gemara, Ve'amar Rava, Le'olam, Ligris Inish. A person should study Torah. Ve'af al gav demashkach. Even if you forget what you studied. Af al gav de la yeda' ma ka'amar. Even if he has no idea what's being said, you should always learn. Even if you forget, even if you don't even know what it says, always learn. Because the Torah will make an eternal impact. I want to tell you a story that is unbelievable. I read this story years ago in one of the Magid books. It was a story of an old Russian man who had survived the Russian Revolution. He was a hardened person, a Jewish, proud Jew, a very unsophisticated mind. He had gone through Tsarist Russia. He was what we call a Cantonist. A young Jew, unfortunately, who was drafted into the military during their teens and remained there sometimes up to 25 years. He would go to the shiur every day. He would sit there, doze off a little bit, wake up, He would listen, understand a little bit. He didn't really understand. What he did understand, he forgot, but he never missed a shiur. His wife sometimes got on his case. Instead of her encouraging him, she would say, well, what's the point? Your head is hard like this. You don't understand what's going on. Stay here and help me. He said, no, I will not miss a shiur. One day she got so upset at him, she decided she was going to go and complain to the rabbi. She went to the rabbi and she says, I can't take it anymore. You know him. He means well, but he doesn't get it anyway. He's wasting his time. Ask him to stay home with me. The rabbi saw this was a shalom bayit problem. He decided he was going to speak with this man. And he said to him, look, I'm so happy that you come to study Torah, but, from time to time, take a day off, help your wife. He says, Rabbi, probably in a very strong Russian accent, he said, Rabbi, let me tell you something. When I was in the army, we woke up early in the morning and the first thing that we did was we lined up outside, sometimes in the frigid cold, and we would recite the name of all the important people in the Russian government, starting with the monarch, and then the high officials, and then their families and their friends every single day, as a show of our loyalty to him. Listen to this. When I come up to Shamayim, I might not be able to recite everything I study, but I'm going to stand before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I'm going to recite the names of the monarchy, Abaye v'Rava, Rav and Shmuel, Bet Shammai, Bet Hillel, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, and so on and so on. Because if we value the monarchy, the princes, the kings of the Torah, then we recite their names. Unbelievable story. I never forgot it, and I'm sure none of you will ever forget this story. I want to share something a little bit more personal. I have a small group of men that I've been studying with for many years, probably 18 years. We started by studying the parasha of the Shavua, of the week. Every week, parasha. Shol. The following year, we would learn the Sheni, and so on and so forth. After 7, 8, 9 years, we finished a lot of the parashiyot that we can study. The difficult parashiyot and Vayikra and so on. So I made a proposition. I said, my dear friends, you are now initiated. Why don't we start a Gemara? At the beginning, they were a little reluctant. Some of them said, I don't know, I don't understand, it's Aramaic, it's for the rabbis, I don't really get it. But they trusted me and they went ahead and they went along with me. And we began Masechet Megillah. And it took us close to 2 years. And a few months ago we made a Siyum. One of the people that joined our group is a man who's over 80 years old. He never studied a page of Gemara in his life. I asked him to honor us and to say a few words at the Siyum. And I have to tell you, it was one of the most moving experiences of my career. When I heard him get up and recite concepts that he had learned in the Talmud. It was so profoundly moving and inspiring. When we say it's never too late, I can tell you it's never too late. And even if we have difficulty understanding, and even if we don't completely understand everything, or we don't remember everything, but he's a transformed person. He's part now of the Am HaTorah. I heard a beautiful insight at the Siyum that we had in Toronto. One of the songs that we sing on Simchat Torah, Sisu v'simchu v'simchat HaTorah. The Gaon Mivilna explains the difference between Sason and Simcha. And he says, Sason is for Abar, for the past. Simcha is for the future. Semechim b'setam Sasim beboam. Semechim for the future. Besetam. They go out, they don't know what the day will bring. Semechim. It's a simcha. Sasim beboam. The simcha is on a new level when they come back for the past. Interesting thing he says. It's not called Sason Torah. It's called Simchat Torah. Simcha for the future. What does this mean? And he told over a beautiful little story. I don't know who the people, the characters in the story are, but it's a touching story. There was a Simchat Torah somewhere a long time ago, and everybody was dancing, and there was a man sitting on the side who was just sitting and watching and smiling, but he was not dancing. And the rabbi went over to him, and he said to him, "Why aren't you dancing?" And he said, "Look, I don't really understand what this is all about. I have to tell you the truth, that I barely understand the parasha. I don't really read every parasha. I don't come all the time." And the rabbi said to him, "You know, there's two hatanim in Simchat Torah. There's hatan vezot haberacha, but there's also hatan beneshit. There's a hatan for the past, for the conclusion, but there's also a hatan for the future. Simchat Torah is for the future. In a way, this is Simchat Torah for you, but it's Simchat Torah for all of us. Because we are all now inspired to strengthen ourselves a little bit in the future in our commitment to the Limud Torah. And for that, there's a Simcha, Simchat Torah. For that, we can make a whole Simcha, just because we're inspired a little bit to move closer to Torah in the future. I just have 5 pages left. I'm just joking. Just a little bit left. Just a little bit left. Much 2-3 ideas and I'm done. The great Tzaddik, Rav Elchanan Wasserman, Zecher Tzaddik Livracha, Hashem Yukom Damo, who was the star pupil of the Hafiz Hayim. Rav Elchanan used to travel from Baranovich, which is in modern-day Belarus. He used to travel to the city of Kharkov, often to raise money for his institutions. He used to come to the home of a certain Rabbi Binyamin Dennis, and every year, Rabbi Binyamin Dennis, who was the Ashir Muflag, he was a very wealthy man, he would receive this great Chacham, Rav Elchanan Wasserman, in his home. He would take care of him, and he would send him off with a large donation. Once, during an unusually harsh winter, I don't know if you guys know what the winter is. You don't know what winter is. Tomorrow night I'm going to a winter. If you ever visit Canada, don't come between the months of December and March, before and after. It was an unusually harsh winter, and there were no paved roads. There was a lot of slush and mud. And Rav Elchanan trudged through this mud and this slush. And when he came to the home of this man, he was almost from head to toe muddy and dirty. He thought to himself, I can't go through the front door. He has beautiful tapestries and beautiful carpets. I'm going to get everything dirty. I'm going to go through the back door by the kitchen where there's a tiled floor. You can mop it up. He goes to the back door. And he knocks on the door. And Rabbi Binyamin opens the door. And he said to Rav Elchanan, what are you doing here? He understood why you came to the back. He said, you're ruining my daughters. Ruining your daughters? What do you mean? He said, my whole life, I raised my 2 daughters. And I repeated to them day in and day out, everything we have here is not important. You know what's important in life? Torah mitzvot. You are showing them that my tapestries are more important than you. Please, Rabbi, he said something unbelievable. Go to the front of the house. I want you to walk through the carpets. I want you to sit on the couch so that my daughters will see what's important in life. He felt bad, but he saw that he insisted and he did it. He went through the front door. The carpet was a disaster. the tapestries, the drapes, and he sat on the couch, and the host served him a cup of tea. They laughed, and he sent him off with a large donation, as he usually did. Many years later, this man retired to a city called Petach Tikva in Israel. And he told once a friend that during the communist revolution, the Bolsheviks took everything from me. But I have 2 diamonds that they cannot take from me. My first daughter and my second daughter. Each one married illustrious Talmidei Chachamim. And these daughters, each one had 2 daughters. One married, some of you know these names. One married Rav Baruch Sorotskin. The other, Rav Isaac Osband. The other sister had 2 daughters. One married Rabbi Gifter, and the other married Rabbi Pesach Stein. All Talmidei Chachamim. What I'm trying to say, Rabotai, is that the impact is not just for those who are studying Torah, but for the entire family. Ashrei, praiseworthy and fortunate is a family where the children grow up with the understanding of what's important in life. And if we have all this wealth, Beruchim Tihiu, it's wonderful. But where does it rank in our priorities, in list of what's important? Torah is supreme, mitzvot supreme, Talmidei Chachamim supreme, everything else is secondary. There's no greater chinuch. You don't even have to talk to your children. They grow up with the understanding of what's important, and you will see great, tremendous results. I don't know if you read matzav.com. I read a beautiful, touching little story. After the big Siyum that was held at MetLife on January 1st in New Jersey, there was a person who published the following personal story. There were many, many rabbis present at the Siyum. Many were seated on tables in the front. And this is one individual who was sitting at the table. And he related the following thing. He said, it was very uncomfortable to sit there because you have to be on, you have to show your most serious face, because you never know the moment that the camera will be on you and boom, your face will be on these mega screens. So you're sitting there and holding yourself and, trying to be the best that you can. And as you're looking around, you see famous rabbis, and then you see little children walking up to these famous rabbis and taking pictures. Oh, Rabbi this and Rabbi that. But he didn't have anybody coming to him taking any pictures. It's okay. And then, suddenly, there was a young boy in front of him that he didn't think he knew, and his father. And they were looking at him, they put up a camera, and they took a picture of him. He said, I think you have been mistaken for someone else. You think maybe I'm someone else, but I'm not that person. I don't think I know you. Do you think you know me? The father sort of was avoiding answering the question. But the boy, being the innocent little boy he was, said the following. Listen to this. Listen to a little boy. He said, I saw that nobody was taking a picture of you and I felt bad. Imagine what kind of chinuch this boy receives. What kind of home does he grow up in to have such sensitivity? Somebody wrote in the comments very fitting words. Ashrei yoladato. Ashrei yoladato. Whereas we say in Spanish, bendita la madre que le parió. That's what he said. Fortunate is the woman who gave birth to such a boy. Indeed. What chinuch does, when a child grows up in a home where they know what's important, you don't have to talk to them. They absorb it. It's in their bones. And you see the result as they go out into life. I have 2 small points to make, then I promise I'm going to sit down. In this week's parasha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, "V'lo nacham Elohim derech eretz Pelishtim ki karov hu." HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't want to take Bnei Israel, the way of the nation of Penishtim, because the Penishtim were karov, they were close. Rashi speaks about it. The Midrash says, what does ki karov hu means? Karov ha'chesed she'asu Kinaaniyim im Yaakov Avinu. The kindness that the Canaan nation had done with Yaakov Avinu was very recent. What was the kindness that the Canaanite people did with Yaakov Avinu? When Yaakov Avinu was being taken out of Mitzrayim to Eretz Israel for burial, what happened? The nation saw Evel Kaved Zed. They saw this great mourning. They saw, who is this person? Yaakov Avinu. He was famous. He was a Hacham Gadol. So they showed him respect at that moment. And because they showed him respect, says the Midrash, HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't want to take them the way of the Penishtim, because maybe the merit of the respect that they showed the ancestors of these people to Yaakov Avinu might protect them. Now, what exactly did they do in order to show respect? Says the Midrash. Shocking. The Midrash says that one opinion is that the kings, they undid their royal band. They wear these royal bands. They undid the band as a show of respect to Yaakov Avinu. Okay. Some of them stood straight. Zakfu kamatehem. They just stood straight. They were standing slouched. When they saw Yaakov, they stood straight. Big kavod to Yaakov Avinu. Some of them, what they did is they pointed. You know? Today in traffic, it's called bottlenecking. I don't know if you have that expression over here. Bottlenecking are the curious people. Traffic on one side, on the other side, bottlenecking. So they bottlenecked. They pointed, oh, there's Yaakov. Such a kavod to Yaakov Avinu. Such a kavod. Maybe that kavod that they did to Yaakov Avinu will protect them against Israel. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't want to take them that way. Says the Midrash. Imagine that. For a tiny, insignificant show of kavod, the zechut that they had because of that kavod accompanied them for 200 years. Imagine the zechut of the wives and the children for the slightest inconvenience to their lives, the smallest inconvenience. I have to do an extra carpool because my husband has to go and study his Daf Yomi. Could we begin to imagine the zechut that will accompany this family forever and ever? We cannot even begin to imagine. I want to cut out that last part that I was going to say, and I want to go to one last point. This is my last point. Really, it's kedai to pay attention to this. Some of you may have heard this. The Chafetz Chaim once said, why is it that Sarosh of Esav, the ministering angel of Esav, came to battle with Yaakov? Why Yaakov? Why not Abraham? Why not Ishaq? Listen to the words of the Chafetz Chaim. Esav doesn't mind Abraham. Abraham symbolizes chesed, kindness. Esav is not threatened by kindness. If Jews do tzedakah and kindness, that's fine. It doesn't bother Esav. Esav is not bothered by Yitzhak Avinu. Yitzhak symbolizes avodah, service, tefillah, prayer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Satan is okay with that. But Yaakov, Torah, oh, that Sarosh of Esav, that he cannot stand. Because Esav understands that a nation that exists on a foundation of chesed, it can come and it can go. It is not destined to be around forever, necessarily. A nation that is built on tefillah, afilu, even prayer, also not so threatening. But a nation that dedicates itself to Torah, that's a nation that's destined to be around forever. And that is why Sarosh of Esav could not stand Yaakov. That is why Sarosh of Esav had to wage battle against Yaakov. This is the zechut that we have. That we are kayamim le'olam, because lo tishachach mipi zar'o, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave a promise that the Torah will never be forgotten completely. And if the Torah is not forgotten completely, there will always be classes, there will always be shiurim, there will always be harutot, There will always be people listening to shiurim in their cars. And as long as that is going on, then Isav cannot they can harm us, but they will never be able to have a complete victory over us, Chas v'shalom. So on this note, I would like to conclude, first of all, with an expression of thanks for inviting me to come. This is a very moving evening for me, as I said. And it's a zechut gadol for me to be here and to partake in this great simcha. So I thank you very, very much for that. And it is my fervent beracha, my fervent prayer, that we as a nation, may we continue to thrive in this very difficult galut, in this very difficult journey. Recently, things are becoming a little bit more difficult. But if we attach ourselves to the Torah, then we know that at the end, we will always be victorious. The enemies, they come and they go, and they disappear in the annals of history. But we are here le'olam. May we be zocheh to see the fulfillment of all the promises of the Nebi'im, of the Hachamim, Uba le'Sion bo'em b'mehera b'yameinu.
Baruch, Rabbi. We've come to the final Siyum and Hadran. I want to welcome our esteemed host, a very, very beautiful, prominent member of our community. And I want to say also, Kol HaKavod to the Ben Shetrit family, Sherry, all the children. Kol HaKavod to you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Ben Shetrit, to do the Siyum and Hadran.
B'shut Ramanim, B'shut Kal Kadosh, honored guests. The hour is late, but when there's the words of Torah spoken, there is no excuse to rush it. I am going to change things up a little bit. Please go ahead and get your desserts as we finish the Masechet, and then after I am done, I'm going to say the last Kaddish, and then I'm going to have the next speaker, before we do the final dancing, start Masechet Berachot. So I want to thank everybody for coming. There's certain special thank yous. First of all, I'd like to thank Borei Olam Hashem for bringing me to this moment. I'd like to thank my wife, Sherry, a true Eshet Chayil. You've heard over and over tonight the importance of having an Eshet Chayil that supports you in your Torah learning. I want to thank my children who were young when I started on this journey. And they've grown up, and hopefully they've absorbed something from this journey as well. I want to thank the Oziel family, the Khaliwa family, for their support throughout this journey. I also want to recognize that there's people that came in from out of town for this Siyum Hashas, from Canada, from Rhode Island, from New Jersey, from Michigan, and I want to thank all of you for being here. Finally, I want to also thank Rabbi Galamini for his planning, his chokhmah, and for his idea to partner up this great event with the Lighthouse. I also want to thank Michael Ben Melech for the tremendous job he's doing with the Lighthouse Project. Like we heard earlier, this is not just my Siyum, this is our Siyum. Abaye, the great sage, said, it says in Masechet Shabbat that a Siyum, Masechet, is not just about the person who does it, it's about the congregation as well. I started on this journey exactly 30 days after Shloshim of our dear friend Rabbi Oziel. Rabbi Oziel passed away on the 13th of Tammuz, 30 days later was a Shloshim, which coincided with the last Siyum Hashas, when we finished the 12th cycle. At that point, we all walked away from the Shloshim still shocked, still figuring out where we go from here. And I decided I'm going to start this journey in Ilui Nishmat Rabbi Oziel. In fact, it's very interesting because the Rabbanit Michal had told me, she said, you know what? Rabbi Oziel never got to do Daf Yomi, and he was planning on starting it in the 13th cycle. So I started the Ilui Nishmat. There were definitely some special moments along the way. It so happened that Masechet Eruvin, that Siyum was exactly on his Askara, his first Askara. Masechet Sukkot happened to be the week of the wedding of Rabbi Oziel's daughter Esti. We did a Siyum then. Masechet Nedarim happened to be the week of the wedding of Moriel. We did a Siyum then. Michal, by the way, I can give you the luach of the next cycle so you can plan weddings around the next Masechtot. Also had the zchut of doing siyums in different locations. Betza, I did in Eretz Israel, in Tiberias. I did Nedarim, as we said, in Yerushalayim at the wedding of Esti. Baba Kama, I happened to do in Yerushalayim on the Ilulah of Rav Meir Shapiro, who founded the Daf Yomi. And the Sechet Melchot I did about a year and a half ago, also in Yerushalayim at the Ilulah of Rabbi Abraham Abu Chatzera. I also did one in Canada, and Rabbi Oziel happened to be away, but I still did it, and that was Masechet Megillah. You see, what happens is, 7.5 years, the daf consumes you. You start thinking about life events, and you start pinpointing where I was. It's all about how it related to that daf that day in that Masechet. So, as you know, those who've come to my Siyum Mesechtot, I always try and find some kind of a connection in that Siyum with Rabbi Oziel, almost like a message, something that he's transmitting to us. So obviously this is Shas. I picked 3 of the so-called greatest hits over the past 7.5 years. Mesechet Berachot and Eruvin says that when two Talmidei Chachamim, when 2 friends are saying goodbye to each other, they should always speak words of halakha, words of Torah. So, how is this something that is transmitted from Rabbi Yosef? You see, the reason that they say they should be speaking words of halakha is because when 2 people love each other so much and they're going to say goodbye, there's an emotion attached to that moment. They remember what they were wearing, they remember what they were doing, they remember what they ate together. The emotion of that moment means they will never forget. And that is why the Gemara says in those 2 places, when they speak 2 words of halakha and they're separated, they will never forget that part of the learning. As we all know, Rabbi Oziel, like all big Talmidei Chachamim, he went into the hospital on Yud Gimel Sivan, a week after Shavuot. He lasted 30 days. They say that the big Chachamim, they know 30 days ahead of time when their time is coming. Anybody that was here during those 30 days will never forget what those 30 days were like. They will never forget what we were learning. They will never forget the Mesechtot we were learning for his refuah. They will never forget the Tehillim that the women were learning. We will never forget. And in my opinion, that was his message. His message, listen, I know what's going to happen in 30 days, but let me take this opportunity to give you all, this whole community, the ability to learn something that you can take with you and you will never forget. And we have proof from the Torah. The proof comes from Parashat Vayigash. At that moment, we know when Yaakov Avinu was told that his son Yosef was alive, what is it that the sign was? It was the agalot, it was the wagons. And Rashi says over there, well, how did he know that Yosef was alive? Because that was the last thing they were learning together. They were learning about the Eglah Arufah. In Masechet Ketubot, this has been alluded to a couple of times tonight. It says over there that when somebody gives somebody a smile with the white of their teeth, it is more nourishing than white of milk. What does this mean? This means that when somebody is genuine and shows somebody a smile, they nourish them, not just spiritually, but emotionally. We saw the picture, it was alluded to earlier. This is who Rabbi Oziel was. The white of his teeth could win over anybody. His kiruv was not about gimmicks. It was not about gimmicks. It was about a big smile and an engaging hug, and he had you hooked. And that's the type of person that Rabbi Oziel was, which it says in Ketubot over there in Daf 111. Finally, Masechet Makot, famous Gemara, right at the end of Makot, Daf Chaf Dalet. Famous story where they talk about Rabbi Akiva and his colleagues were standing as Yerushalayim was being destroyed. And his colleagues were crying. And Rabbi Akiva was laughing with joy. And they're looking at him and they say, Akiva, how could you be laughing at a time like this? He said, how could you be crying at a time like this? And he said, you know what? I can hear those armies marching from miles away. I know what's going to happen. They're going to come, they're going to take over Yerushalayim, they're going to destroy everything. But you know what? We know that we are doing everything that we need to do. Kavod Hashem. We are doing all the mitzvot. And they're getting Yerushalayim. If these Rashas are getting Yerushalayim, think of what our zafur is going to be. That's why I'm laughing. That was Rabbi Oziel. You know, that is something extremely, extremely powerful at that point. Because most wonderful, wonderful emunah, but they're all predicated on one thing. They're all predicated, so I'm going through a bad time, there's a bad situation. But I have emunah, it's going to be better. See, Rabbi Akiva was different, and this is also how Rabbi Oziel was. He never saw this situation as bad to begin with. He said, oh, this situation, it's great. He said, it's great. No, it's great. Everything's going to be fine. And I have personal experience with him, seeing that when he was having some immigration challenges, that I was more concerned about them. So now we come to the completion of Shas. So the last Masechet is Masechet Midah. One of the things that you have to understand about this Masechet is that it is very unique because it's predicated on something called a zero-sum game. What is a zero-sum game? A zero-sum game, quite simply, is that there's no gray areas. There's no margin of error. Kill or be killed. Pretty scary, huh? You see, this Masechet is really about two Deoraitas, two Torah laws. That's it. That's all it comes down to. The first one is to be fruitful and multiply. And then the other one is that there's certain times that one cannot be in a certain relationship. Those are both Deoraita violations. There's no gray, there's no in between. And that's kind of scary. And this is what this Masechet is about. The slightest mistake, the slightest error in judgment, and one could be violating a Deoraita. That's the difference between Masechet Midah and the rest of Shas. You see, even in the rest of Shas, we see what are so-called leniencies. There's the concept of rabbinic laws, the Rabbanan. We have the concept of B'di'evet, where even after the fact, okay, maybe it's okay if you did it, but you shouldn't do it again. We see even the ability to be forgiven by bringing certain sacrifices, like a Korban Chatat. But the theme of this last Masechet is, there is no margin of error. There is no gray area. Which is why the body of laws that emanates from the oral Torah is halakha. The final conclusion of these 2,711-day journey does not rely on leniencies. And the idea is to try and garner what we have learned and take it to the next level. And now I will finish the Masechet. So the very end of Masechet Nida just discusses the concept of Azav and Zava very quickly. That is a medical condition where there's a certain discharge from the body that, depending on how often, depending on the timing, can be a form of Tumah. Now, the actual conclusion states that Tana Davi Eliyahu, and this is a Braita, which says, which Rabbi Eliyahu teaches, Kol HaShoneh Halachot B'chol Yom, Muftach Lo Shehu Bo B'Olam Haba. Whoever learns halachot every day is assured that he is destined for the world to come. Shenemar Halichot Olam Lo, because it says the ways, Halichot are ways, from the word Holeach, of the world are his. Al Tikre Halichot Ele Halachot. But do not read this as Halichot, read it as Halachot, the firm Halachot. My dear friends, when a tzaddik passes to the next world, there's only two ways that his zechut, that his merits, can be with him up there. One is what he did in this world before he went up. And guess what? He can be the biggest tzaddik, and after he's in the next world, it's game over. No more ability to accumulate merits on his own. But there is one way, and that is through the concept of Leilu Nishmat. We, in this world, have the ability to do mitzvot and learn Leilu Nishmat for the tzaddik, and that's another way that he can continue to replenish his account. Our beloved Rabbi Oziel had many merits in this world, but I see my journey of the past 7.5 years as the ability to continue to fuel his merits in Shemayim. I will conclude with a brief story. The great Rabbi Meir Shapiro, who founded the Daf Yomi back in 1923, had the idea that this was going to be a way of unifying Klal Yisrael. That was his idea, but Baruch Hashem, it worked. But he went on a famous visit to visit the Chafetz Chaim in Radin. And the Chafetz Chaim said, Rabbi Meir, I'm jealous of you, but not because of what you think. He said, I understand why you did what you did to unify Klal Yisrael, but you have no idea how you've rocked the Shemayim. Why? He said, because when somebody goes to Shemayim, at the end of their journey in this world, they're asked, how many Masechtot did you learn? Said, and quite frankly, up until the Daf Yomi, there weren't that many Masechtot. There were so many Masechtot that were abandoned. They were sitting on the shelf. But because of Daf Yomi, you resurrected all the Masechtot. And the Chafetz Chaim continued by saying, every Masechet has a chair. And when somebody goes up to Shemayim, they get to sit in that chair and say, done, done, done. My dear friends, I did this journey, Leilu Nishmat, Rabbi Oziel. And we know that whatever merit that we, meaning his shaliach in this world, he's going to get in that world. And I'm proud to say that tonight, at this moment, he just sat in the last chair of Shas. Hadran alach, tinokot, v'zikano mesechet nida. I'm now going to do the Hadran, the Kaddish, and then we're going to start Berachot quickly, and then we will have the Hadran alach mesechet nida, the Talmud Bavli. The Hadran alach mesechet nida, the Talmud Bavli, the Hadran alach mesechet nida, the Talmud Bavli. ולא תנסה מינם בארמה, אדם ולא בארמה דעתי, אדם לא מסכת נידה בתלמוד בבלי, ואדם הלכת אדם מסכת נידה בתלמוד בבלי, ודווקא לא נתנסה מינם מסכת נידה בתלמוד בבלי, ולא תנסה מינם בארמה, אדם ולא בארמה דעתי, אדם מסכת נידה בתלמוד בבלי, אדם מסכת נידה בתלמוד בבלי, ודבר לא תתנסה מנך מסכת נידה בתלמוד בבלי, ולא תתנסה מנן לא במה הדין ולא במה דעתה. יהי רצון לפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, שתחי תורתך אמונתנו בעם הזה, ותהיה עמנו לעולם הבא. חנינא בר פפא, רמי בר פפא, נחמן בר פפא, אחי בר פפא, מרי בר פפא, רפרם בר פפא, רכיש בר פפא, סולחה בר פפא, הודא בר פפא, טורו בר פפא, הרב נא אדוני אלוהינו את דברי תורתך בפינו ובפיות עמך בית ישראל ותהיה. כולנו אנחנו צאצאינו וצאצאי עמך בית ישראל, כולנו יודע שמך ולומדי תורתך. ושמיים עובדי תחממים מצוותיך כי לעולם היא לא היא לבי תמיד בחוקי למען לא יבוש לא עולם לא יזכר ותוכל ללא בני. אני ברוך אתה אדוני ומדני חוקתך, אמן אמן אמן. סלע בעת מודים אנחנו לפתח אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו שזמר רבנו וזמר בית המקדש ולא סבתי אורחיתים ושבי קרנות, שם משכימים והם משכימים, אנו משכימים לדברי תורה והם משכימים לדברים בטלים, אנו עמלים והם עמלים, אנו עמלים ומקבלים שכר והם עמלים ואינם מקבלים שכר, אנו רצים מהם לצח, אנו רצים לחיי עולם הבא והם רצים לבן שחר שנאמנו ואתה אלוהים דרתם לדבר שחר אנשי תמים ורמן וכינסוי להם ואני אבטח בה. יהי רצון לפניך אדוני אלוהי כשם שעזר לסיים מסכת נידה בתלמוד בבלי, כן תעזר להתחיל מסכתות וספרים אחרי לסיים ללמוד וללמד ולשמות לעשות ולקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה זכות כל התלמיד והאומרים והתלמיד החכמים והמלך וזידה שלא תמות והתורה מפיהו מבזילים זה זרעי עד עולם ותקיים בו והתחלך תנחה אותך ושכבך תשמור עליך ותקוצתה היא תזכך כי בי ירבו ימך ויוספו לך שדות חיים רבי ימינים ורבי שמאלה עשה לכבוד נאיות למועתן אדוני יברך את אבו שלום ותדע מקדש ולרבה ברכתה ושינתה ושפתה ונחמתה ואמרה וידרו אמן. ישראל הרבנן והתלמידכון תלכו תלמידי תלמידכון ואתנו מה להזכור בראותה דבראותה אתם ודברכו לרב והחיים ואורו כל נשלו ברב העניין וכיסה ברבים והחיים רכים ואוזנו ורבכם ובקנה מי קדם אלוהים די במשמעיה ואומרו אמן. מי שמרבן מי משמעיה חיים חיים טוב עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום הוא ברחמים ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ואמרו אמן.
חזק וברוך, מחיאות כפיים. השורש שירה לכבוד התורה, השורש שירה לכבוד התורה, מפסי קרא זכה וברה, זכה וברה, מפסי קרא זכה וברה, זכה וברה. השורש שירה לכבוד התורה, השורש שירה לכבוד התורה, מפסי קרא זכה וברה, זכה וברה, מפסי קרא זכה וברה, זכה וברה. טה-טה-טה-טה, טה-טה-טה-טה, כולם! טה-טה-טה-טה, טה-טה-טה-טה, טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה-טה- Shalom.
Siyum Hashas. We just finished Midah tonight. We immediately must start Berachot. Rabbi Oziel left a tremendous legacy in Miami. And that legacy is something that we will always cherish. The concept of continuity, just like it is in Torah, is very important when it comes to community. When Rabbi Oziel passed away, a lot of people were concerned of what would happen to what this community did. But we had faith, and I have no doubt that Rabbi Oziel from Shamayim said it's going to be okay. And he sent us a Talmid Chacham to continue in his legacy, who I have the privilege of knowing, again, from Toronto, growing up. I can think of nobody more fitting than to start Shas than Rabbi David and Malach, the rabbi of Hashas Daf Oziel congregation. Lechamod, Rabbi David.
I just wanted to share with you, right before we're going to start, a very interesting concept. They ask, what is the reason why we start Masechet Berachot with Kriyat Shema Shel Arvit? Why don't we start with Shachrit? Mara itself asks the question and answers two different answers. I saw two different beautiful ideas. One, which is basically the first mitzvah that we ever start as bar mitzvah, is Kriyat Shema Shel Arvit. The reason why is because the second that a person becomes bar mitzvah, it starts at the night time. So the second that it becomes the Tzedek Kochavim of that night, he's obligated in Kriyat Shema. That is his first mitzvah that he's going to accomplish, he's going to fulfill as a true adult when he becomes a bar mitzvah. However, though, some Chachamim, they say the following idea.
Please, guys.
We're going to start the concept of Arvit. Arvit actually has a bigger precedence in the Shachrit. Why? Not only because of the Ato Shel Olam, like the Gemara says, and that's how the world was created. They say it's because whatever's going to happen in the night, that's actually going to take effect the entire next of the day, the rest of the day as well. That's why if you remember the Rambam, it goes to the Gemara basically saying the majority of the Torah that's going to be learned is always at nighttime. We usually think, why? A person's calm, they don't have any problems, but it's not only that. It's actually going to affect the entire rest of the day. Shulchan Aruch starts to wake up early. Right? That he's the one that awakens the morning. That only comes if a person went to sleep like an Ari. The Katzman Rebbe used to say, if a person goes to sleep like an Ari, he wakes up like an Ari. He wakes up like a lion. But if he goes to sleep like a chamor, he also wakes up like a chamor, which means that whatever's going to happen the night before, that gives us the energy in order to give us the strength to continue going. And therefore it was very fitting for us to start Masechet Berachot with Kriyat Shema Arvit, receiving upon ourselves the yoke of heaven and Arvit, in order to give us that strength, in order to continue. Not only the Arvit time, but also Bezrat Hashem for Shachrit and the rest of the day. So that I'm just going to start by saying, Shema B'Arvit, so when we start Shema in the nighttime, from the time that the Kohanim go in to eat their terumah, until the end of the first watch, these are the words of Rabbi Yosef. Chachamim say until Chatzot. And when Yosef says until Ad She'alam Shachar. Ma'aseh U'Av, there was a story that his children came. The children of Gamliel came from the Bet HaMishtia. They said, "O Karinu Ad Shema, we didn't Kriyat Shema." Amar Lahem, he told him, "No, Shachar, if he didn't come until the Shachar, the dawn, you're still again to read." Velozu Bilvad, and not only that, but Kova Shavucha Michatzot, everything that Chachamim said until Chatzot. Really the mitzvah is that She'alam Shachar. Hekter et Chalavim Avadim, also the burning the fats and the limbs, so that is going to be until Avu Shachar. Chol Alechalim Yom Echad, anything which is going to be eaten one day, one night, also mitzvah Avu Shachar, until the dawn. So says the Gemara, Im Ken, Esu Lama Mel Chachamim Chatzot. Why the Chachamim say until Chatzot? Kedei La'archik et Adam min Avera, in order to distance a person from the Avera. The Mishnah actually brings a story, which is very, very apropos, because it's always supposed to be the Maaseh. One thing that I think we can actually learn from Michael now, that when he finished Shas, is that he didn't finish Shas one time when he finished it the entire time. Right? Many times he came and he said a joke when they finished the 2,700 blood, 711 blood, they didn't say it was 2,711. Somebody came and he said, there's thousands more. He said, where? He says, Art Scroll, every single one has A5, A6. You continue going. So you continue adding to the pages. However, there was a secret that Michael probably didn't tell you is that every single Shabbat he used to do Chazarah on the entire week's blood as well. Which means not only did he learn it once every single day, every Shabbat he did a Chazarah again on that class. So it wasn't that he just finished only one. He actually finished 3 times over as well. And that's why I think it's just very important to show us the love of the Torah that he cherished. Obviously, Oziel and Shalom gave that, he instilled that in him, that fervor that's inside of him, that is ingrained, in order that it should continue through his talmidim, through his students. Because again, talmidim are also becoming banim, the students are called the children. And therefore, Be'ezrat Hashem, there should be a very great merit for Oziel, that his children should continue the path of Torah, that all his family should continue, and also Be'ezrat Hashem, that his students should continue that path, in order that he should Be'ezrat Hashem get his Shudot Torah Chaim. Amen.
כולם תחיקו אותי בבקשה, כל התורה. ואני לקודנו